Have you ever swiped your credit card and felt absolutely nothing? No pain, no second thought. Just a quick tap and you're done. That's exactly what they want you to feel. Or more accurately, what they want you to not feel. Here at Simple Money, we've analyzed thousands of spending patterns. And here's what we've discovered. The credit card industry has spent decades engineering the perfect trap. And the scary part? Most people don't even realize they're caught in it. Today, I'm going to reveal 5 psychological traps that credit cards use to separate you from your money. And once you see these patterns, you'll never swipe the same way again. Here's what's really happening every time you use a credit card. Your brain is being hacked, not by some sci-fi technology, but by decades of behavioral research that credit card companies have weaponized against you. Think about the last time you paid for something with cash. You probably remember it clearly. The physical act of handing over those bills, watching them leave your hand, maybe even feeling a tiny pang of loss. Now think about your last credit card purchase. Harder to remember, right? Maybe you can recall what you bought, but the payment itself? It's basically invisible. This isn't an accident. Credit card companies discovered something fascinating about human psychology. The more abstract a payment becomes, the less pain we feel. And the less pain we feel, the more we spend. There's actually a name for this in behavioral economics. It's called the pain of paying. And cash delivers maximum pain. You see the money. You touch it. You watch it disappear from your wallet. Your brain registers this as a real loss. But credit cards? They've engineered that pain away. No physical exchange, no visible depletion of resources. Just a quick beep and you're done. Your brain barely registers it as spending at all. Studies have shown that people spend up to 100% more when using credit cards compared to cash. Double, for the exact same items. Same stores, same people. The only difference? The payment method. But here's where it gets really interesting. Credit card companies didn't just stumble onto this discovery. They actively designed their products to exploit it. Every feature, every benefit, every reward point. It's all carefully calculated to make spending feel good and painless. Let me show you exactly how they do it. The first trap is what I call the invisibility effect. And it's the foundation everything else is built on. When you use a credit card, you're not actually spending money. Not in that moment anyway. You're making a promise to pay money later. Your brain understands this distinction, even if you don't consciously think about it. This delay between purchase and payment creates a psychological disconnect. The pleasure of buying happens now, the pain of paying happens weeks later, and our brains are terrible at connecting these two events. Think about it like this. Imagine if every time you ate a cookie, you didn't gain weight until 30 days later. How many more cookies would you eat? Probably a lot more. Because the consequence feels disconnected from the action. That's exactly what credit cards do with money. You get the dopamine hit of buying something right now. But the financial consequence doesn't hit until your statement arrives. And by then, you've already made dozens more purchases. Each one feeling equally painless. Here's a real example. Let's say you're out to dinner with friends. The bill comes to $80. If you pay with cash, you physically see 4 $20 bills leave your wallet. Your brain processes this as a tangible loss. You might even think twice about ordering that extra drink. But pay with a credit card? You just tap and go. No visual depletion of resources. No immediate sense of loss. Your brain barely registers it as spending. In fact, you might leave a bigger tip because, hey, it's all just numbers on a screen, right? The psychological impact is profound. Cash makes you feel poorer immediately. Credit cards let you feel rich a little longer. And credit card companies know this. They've counted on it. The second trap is what I call the reward mirage. This one is particularly insidious because it makes you think you're winning when you're actually losing. Credit cards sell themselves on rewards, cashback, points, miles, premium lounge access. It all sounds amazing. And here's the thing. The rewards are real. You really do get that 2% back or those airline miles. But here's what they don't tell you. The rewards aren't the point. The rewards exist for one reason only, to make you spend more. Way more than the value of the rewards themselves. Let me break down the math. Say you have a card that gives you 2% cash back. Sounds great. For every $100 you spend, you get $2 back. But remember what I said earlier? People spend up to 100% more with credit cards than with cash. So let's do the math. If you would normally spend $100 in cash, but you spend $200 with your credit card to get those rewards, you just got $4 back. Congratulations. You overspent by $100 to earn $4. That's not a win. That's a masterclass in losing while feeling like you're winning. But it gets worse. Credit card companies have studied this extensively. They know that rewards programs increase spending by an average of 15 to 20%. Even among people who pay off their balance every month, even among people who think they're immune to these tricks. Here's why it works. Rewards create a psychological justification for spending. Your brain doesn't think, should I buy this? Instead, it thinks, well, if I buy this, I'll get points. The question shifts from whether to spend to how much in rewards you'll earn. I've seen people buy things they didn't need, wouldn't normally buy, and sometimes don't even want. Just because they're earning points. They've literally been trained to associate spending with winning, and that's exactly what credit card companies want. Think about Sarah. She got a travel rewards card because she loves to travel. Makes sense, right? The card offers 3 points per dollar on dining and travel. She starts choosing restaurants based on whether they'll give her maximum points. She books slightly more expensive flights because, hey, more points. She even takes weekend trips she wasn't planning because the points make it feel cheaper. At the end of the year, she's earned enough points for one free round-trip domestic flight. Value? Maybe $300. But she spent an extra $2,000 throughout the year chasing those points. She traded $2,000 for $300 in value. And the whole time, she felt like she was being smart with money. The third trap might be the cruelest of all. I call it the minimum payment illusion. This is where credit cards transform from a convenience tool into a genuine financial prison. Here's how it works. You get your credit card statement. You see your total balance. Maybe it's $2,000. That feels big, overwhelming even. But then you see another number. Minimum payment due, $50. $50 sounds manageable. Reasonable. Almost. Easy. Your brain instantly feels relief. You don't have to pay $2,000. You just need to pay $50. Crisis averted. But here's the uncomfortable truth. That minimum payment, it's not designed to help you. It's designed to keep you in debt for as long as possible while maximizing the amount of interest you pay. Let's run the actual numbers. Say you have a $5,000 balance on a card with 18% interest. Typical scenario. If you only make minimum payments, usually around 2 to 3% of the balance, here's what happens. It will take you nearly 30 years to pay off that debt. 30 years, and you'll pay over $8,000 in interest alone. That means your $5,000 debt actually costs you $13,000. You'll pay more in interest than your original purchase price. Think about that for a second. If you bought a $3,000 laptop on credit and only made minimum payments, you'd end up paying over $5,000 for that laptop. And it would take you over a decade to finish paying it off. By which time that laptop would be ancient history. Probably sitting in a landfill somewhere. But credit card companies present the minimum payment as if they're doing you a favor. Giving you flexibility, helping you manage your cash flow. In reality, they're offering you the most expensive loan terms imaginable, wrapped in language that sounds helpful. The psychology here is dark, but effective. The minimum payment serves as an anchor. It sets a low bar that feels acceptable. Most people assume if the credit card company says $50 is the minimum, then $50 must be a reasonable amount to pay. But reasonable for who? Not for you. For them. For the credit card company that profits massively from your extended debt. Here's what makes this trap so effective. The minimum payment is always affordable. Always. That's by design. If it was too high, you might default. And defaults are bad for credit card companies. But if it's just low enough that you can always pay it, you stay in debt forever, making them money every single month. The fourth trap is something I call the limit creep. And this one works so subtly that most people don't even notice it happening. You get your first credit card. Maybe the limit is $1,000. Seems reasonable. You can manage that. A few months go by. You pay your bills on time. Use the card responsibly. Then one day, you get a letter or an email. Good news! Your credit limit has been increased to $3,000. Congratulations, you've been such a good customer. Feels good, right? Like an accomplishment. Like the credit card company trusts you more, recognizes your financial responsibility. Pat yourself on the back. But here's what's really happening. The credit card company isn't rewarding you. They're baiting a trap. They want you to have access to more credit for one simple reason. So you'll use more credit. And the data backs this up. Studies show that when credit limits increase, spending increases. Not always immediately, but gradually, over time. Because that higher limit becomes your new normal. It resets your mental baseline of what's available to spend. Think about it like this. When your limit was $1,000, you probably thought twice about big purchases. A $500 purchase feels huge when your total limit is $1,000. That's half your available credit. Your brain registers that as significant. But when your limit jumps to $3,000, that same $500 purchase feels smaller. It's only 17% of your limit now. Doesn't seem like such a big deal anymore. Maybe you go ahead with purchases you would have hesitated on before. This is called mental accounting, and credit card companies exploit it ruthlessly. They don't raise your limit because you need more credit. They raise it because higher limits lead to higher balances, and higher balances mean more interest payments. Here's the really sneaky part. They frame limit increases as recognition of your responsibility. But think about what actual financial responsibility would look like. It would be having enough money that you don't need credit. Credit limit increases aren't a reward. They're an invitation to carry more debt. I've seen this pattern play out hundreds of times. Someone starts with a modest limit, manages it well, gets increased to $5,000, then $10,000, then $15,000. Each increase feels like progress, like they're moving up in the world. But here's what often happens. As the limits grow, so does the debt. Not because the person suddenly became irresponsible, but because the higher limits made larger balances feel normal, acceptable, manageable. Fast forward a few years. They're carrying $10,000 in credit card debt across multiple cards. Each card is only 30 or 40% utilized, which sounds responsible, right? But they're paying hundreds of dollars in interest every month. Money that could be going toward investments, savings, building actual wealth. The fifth trap is what I call the convenience tax, and this one is particularly dangerous because it disguises itself as a benefit. Credit cards are convenient, incredibly convenient. You don't need to carry cash. You don't need to worry about exact change. You can shop online, book flights, rent cars, all with a simple swipe or tap. It's friction-free, effortless, modern. And this convenience is very real. I'm not denying that, but here's what nobody talks about. That convenience comes with a massive hidden cost. And I'm not just talking about interest rates or fees. The real cost of convenience is impulse spending. When payment is frictionless, your buying decisions become frictionless too. There's no built-in pause, no moment to reconsider, no natural barrier between wanting something and buying something. Cash creates friction. You have to open your wallet, count out bills, hand them over, watch them leave your possession. Each of these steps gives your brain a chance to pump the brakes, to ask, do I really need this? It's inconvenient, and that inconvenience protects you. Credit cards remove all that friction. See something you want? Tap your card. Done. Transaction complete in 3 seconds. Your brain doesn't even have time to engage the rational decision-making parts. It's all impulse, all emotion, all immediate gratification. Let me give you a concrete example. You're walking through a store. You see a jacket you like. It's $200. If you're paying cash, you probably don't have $200 in your wallet right now. So you'd have to go to an ATM, pull out cash, come back. That delay? That's time for your brain to cool off, to reconsider, to maybe decide you don't actually need that jacket. But with a credit card in your pocket, you can buy it right now. No delay, no cooling off period, no second thoughts. Just pure impulse gratification. And by tomorrow, you might not even remember why you wanted it so badly. Studies on impulse purchases are revealing. People make significantly fewer impulse buys when using cash. Not because they can't afford it, but because the payment friction gives them time to think. Time for the rational brain to catch up with the emotional brain. Credit cards eliminate that thinking time, and credit card companies love this because every impulse purchase is revenue for them, either through transaction fees if you pay it off, or through interest if you carry a balance. They win either way. But here's what makes this trap especially insidious. We've been conditioned to see convenience as an unqualified good. Faster is better, easier is better, friction is bad. We're constantly looking for ways to make life more convenient. And in many areas, that's fine. But with spending, Friction isn't bad. Friction is protective. Friction is the pause that helps you make better decisions. Removing friction from spending doesn't make your life better. It makes your life more expensive. Now, here's what nobody wants to admit. These traps don't just affect financially irresponsible people. They don't just catch people who are bad with money. They're designed to catch everyone. Even you. Even me. Even people who consider themselves financially savvy. Because here's the thing about psychological traps. They work at a subconscious level. You can know about them intellectually and still fall into them. It's like optical illusions. You can understand how the illusion works, and your brain still sees it. The credit card industry has invested billions into understanding human psychology. They've run countless studies, analyzed millions of data points, tested different features and reward structures, all to figure out exactly how to get you to spend more and carry debt longer. And they're really, really good at it. The average American household with credit card debt carries over $8,000 in balances. The average American pays over $1,200 per year in credit card interest alone. That's money disappearing into the void, producing nothing, building nothing, just pure cost. Let me tell you about two people. Same income, same expenses, same lives, but radically different outcomes. Meet Jake. Jake considers himself pretty good with money. He has 3 credit cards, all with decent rewards programs. He never misses a payment. His credit score is solid. He's doing everything right? Here's Jake's typical month. He uses his cards for everything. Groceries, gas, restaurants, online shopping, subscriptions, everything. Because rewards, he's earning points on every purchase. Smart move. At the end of the month, his statements arrive. Card 1, $1,800. Card 2, $1,200. Card 3, $900. Total, $3,900. Jake looks at these numbers. That's more than he expected. Way more. But he rationalizes it. They're all legitimate expenses. Things he needed. Besides, he earned like $80 in cash back, winning. He pays the minimums on 2 cards, about $120 total, and pays off most of card 3. He tells himself he'll pay the rest next month when things are less tight. But next month, the same thing happens. And the month after that. Fast forward a year, Jake is carrying a consistent balance of around $4,000 across his cards. He's paying roughly $70 per month in interest. That's $840 per year. Remember that $80 in rewards he was excited about? He's paying 10 times that in interest. But here's what Jake tells himself. He's managing it. The balances aren't growing out of control. He's making payments. His credit score is still good. Everything is under control. Except it's not. Jake is stuck. He's on a hamster wheel, working to pay interest on purchases he made months ago. Purchases he probably doesn't even remember. That $80 in rewards cost him over $800 in interest. He's paying $10 for every dollar of rewards. Now meet Lisa. Same income as Jake, same life circumstances, same spending needs. But Lisa does something different. Lisa uses credit cards, but only for specific planned purchases. Big items she's already budgeted for. Everything else? Debit card or cash. Especially for small daily purchases. Why? Because Lisa understands something crucial. The rewards aren't worth it if they cause her to overspend by even 5%. And she's honest with herself. She knows credit cards make her spend more, even though she doesn't want to admit it. She can see it in her bank statements. So she creates friction, intentionally. She makes spending slightly less convenient, slightly more visible, slightly more real. When Lisa grocery shops, she uses her debit card. When she goes out to dinner, cash when possible. When she buys something online, debit card. She sees the money leave her checking account immediately. She feels the purchase. Does she miss out on rewards? Yes. Probably $200 or $300 per year in potential cash back or points. But here's what she gains. Lisa never carries a credit card balance, ever. She pays 0 in interest. 0. That alone saves her $800+ compared to Jake. But it's more than that. Because Lisa feels her purchases, she makes better decisions, fewer impulse buys, less lifestyle creep, more intentional spending. She probably spends 10 to 15% less overall than Jake, just because of the payment method. At the end of the year, Lisa has paid zero in interest, earned less in rewards than Jake, but saved significantly more money. Her net worth grows while Jake stays flat. Here's what most people don't realize. This isn't about discipline. It's not about being good with money or having more willpower. Jake isn't weak. Lisa isn't superhuman. The difference is system design. Jake is fighting his psychology, trying to use a tool that's designed to exploit his weaknesses and still come out ahead. It's possible, but it's hard. Really hard, like swimming upstream. Lisa aligned her system with her psychology. She acknowledged that credit cards make her spend more. Instead of fighting that reality, she designed around it. She's swimming downstream, still putting in effort, but the current is helping her instead of fighting her. It's not actually about credit cards at all. It's about understanding that financial tools aren't neutral. They shape behavior. They influence decisions. They work on your psychology whether you realize it or not. The question isn't whether you're smart enough or disciplined enough to beat the credit card game. The question is whether you're honest enough with yourself to recognize how these tools affect your behavior, and wise enough to design a system that works with your psychology instead of against it. These 5 traps, the invisibility effect, the reward mirage, the minimum payment illusion, the limit creep, and the convenience tax, aren't character flaws. They're not signs that you're bad with money. They're carefully engineered psychological exploits that work on basically everyone. The credit card industry spends billions studying human behavior. They know exactly what they're doing. Every feature is intentional. Every reward program calculated. Every convenience designed, all to get you to spend more and carry debt longer. Once you see these patterns, you can't unsee them. Every credit card ad, every rewards program email, every limit increase notification, they all become transparent. You see them for what they really are. Not benefits, but bait. The people who win with credit cards aren't the ones with the most rewards points. They're the ones who understand their own psychology well enough to protect themselves from these traps. And sometimes that means using credit cards very differently than the credit card companies want you to, or not using them at all. The question isn't whether credit cards are good or bad. The question is whether you're using them or they're using you. And after everything we've talked about today, you probably already know the answer.